Mike Valenti decided to say what nobody wanted to hear and lit a firestorm in Detroit. Dan Campbell, once again in the spotlight, found himself both praised and criticized in the same breath. And to make things worse, a new PFF ranking just added fuel to the fire, leaving Lions fans fuming. There's controversy, there's provocation, and there's a wave of pressure building before the season even starts. Hit that like button now. This one's going to stir things up. Alright, let's break it down in classic Barstool fashion. Because Mike Valenti just threw a whole bucket of cold water on the Dan Campbell hype train, and he's not apologizing for it. So here's the deal. Dan Campbell has turned Detroit from the NFL's punching bag into a real deal contender. The guy had the Lions at 15-2 last season, despite more injuries than a stunt double convention. That's no small feat. And even though they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, Campbell's been getting love from around the league for holding the squad together during a rocky ride. But when Pro Football Focus dropped their head coach rankings for returning coaches, Campbell clocked in at number 9 out of 10. Naturally, Lions fans lost their minds. They saw it as a slap in the face. Cue the outrage machine. Mike Valenti? He's not having it. In fact, he said, "Chill out, Detroit." To him, top 10 isn't disrespect, it's fair. He looked around at the reaction and basically said, "What article did you read? The man made the top 10. People are acting like he got compared to Brian DeBole and shoved out the back door." Valenti went so far as to call this kind of fan reaction team derangement syndrome. Yeah, he compared it to political fanaticism. Wild. Now, Valenti isn't hating on Campbell. In fact, he gave him plenty of props. Called him smart, entertaining, a good dude, and a big win for Detroit. But here's the key. Campbell hasn't taken the Lions to a Super Bowl, hasn't hoisted the Lombardi. He blew a 17-point lead in the NFC Championship and got outcoached by a rookie. So, Valenti asks, why are we acting like 9th is some massive insult? The message was loud and clear. Passion's cool, but let's keep a grip on reality. If this team crashes and burns this season, what are you gonna say then? Valenti asked. Still think he's better than coaches with Super Bowl rings? He wants fans to stop treating any critique like it's a personal attack. It's not disrespect. It's called perspective. In the end, Valenti loves what Campbell's done for the city and the franchise. But love doesn't mean you lose your objectivity. 9th out of 10 may not be where Lions Nation wants to see their coach. But right now, according to Valenti, that's exactly where he belongs. Did Valenti cross the line or just say what others won't? Drop your take, because the next story takes the outrage to another level. Alright, now this is where things start to feel downright disrespectful to Dan Campbell, and Lions fans have every reason to be ticked off. Since rolling into Detroit in 2021, Campbell hasn't just turned things around, he's flipped the entire franchise on its head. We're talking about a team that was the league's punchline for decades, and now, they're in the thick of the NFC's elite. Campbell brought the kind of accountability and grit that Motown hasn't seen in, well, forever. And yet, somehow, he's still getting the cold shoulder from the national media. Case in point, Dalton Wasserman over at PFF just dropped his list of the top 10 NFL coaches going into 2025. And where does Campbell land? 9th. Yup, 9th. Right above Kevin. Is he still employed? Stefanski. And while Wasserman gives props, acknowledging Campbell completely flipped the switch after starting 4-19-1, he still ranked him behind a pack of guys living off their Super Bowl resumes. Sean McVay, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh. All legends, sure. But are we judging what they did 5 years ago or what they're doing now? Let's be real, Dan's team has won 35 of their last 44 regular season games. That's elite, that's not fluky, that's building a culture and creating consistency in a league where chaos is the norm. Part of the problem, Campbell's own vibe. He comes off like a meathead in pressers, the kind of guy who'd challenge a vending machine to a fist fight. But behind the scenes, the dude knows ball. Mark Schlereth nailed it on the Rich Eisen show. People seriously underestimate how sharp Dan is on offense. He didn't just hand over the keys to Ben Johnson and walk away. He helped build that machine. And that offense? One of the league's best. So yeah, maybe the only thing Campbell hasn't done yet is win the big one. But let's not pretend that's the only thing that matters. If it is, then half the guys on that list wouldn't be sniffing the top 10 either. The disrespect isn't just misinformed, it's lazy. Campbell's built something real in Detroit, and he's coaching circles around people who keep getting a free pass on name recognition alone. Bottom line, if Dan Campbell drags the Lions to a Super Bowl and finally gets that Lombardi, maybe then the national spotlight will stop treating him like a feel-good story and start recognizing what he actually is, one of the best coaches in the damn league. Campbell isn't flawless, but he's way too good to be this underrated. The bar needs to be fair. Subscribe now so you don't miss a beat on everything going down in Detroit.